Well, in this video, I'm going to tell you the exact strategy I'm using to deal with what I would consider to be the worst weed you're going to deal with in the summer. When I say worst weed, what I mean is the weed that I am most glad that I don't have to deal with until next year. When that cold weather comes and the winter just comes in here and wipes out all these warm season weeds and it all turns brown on my dormant Bermuda lawn, I'm so relieved I don't have to deal with this weed. Give you an equivalent, if I was talking about cool season weeds, the weed I would be talking about would be Poa annua. When the Poa dies out because the weather got hot and it's just gone for the year, I'm like, oh, I'm so glad I don't have to deal with Poa annua. But for warm season weeds, the weed I'm talking about is sedges. I'm talking about yellow nutsedge, purple nutsedge, kyllinga. I don't like sedges. Now, is there weeds that are more difficult to deal with? Yes, but I don't know if there's one that's more common and also just a pain to deal with. Sedges seem to be in almost every single yard, and they are a pain to deal with. But I've got good news for you. Today I'm going to show you a lot of different products and talk to you about the different ones, but I want to tell you about the exact strategy I used to believe that I got better sedge control this year than I think I ever have since I've been doing lawn care. So stay tuned and I'm going to share that with you. Today's video is sponsored by Graham Spray Equipment. You see my 400-gallon rig on the back of my truck. That came from Graham Spray Equipment in Douglasville, Georgia. If you need a spray rig, do like I did and a lot of the people that I've recommended, go to grahamsc.com or give those guys a call. All right, now maybe you're from outer space or something and you've never seen nutsedge, but if you pay attention to your lawn at all, and this is one that a lot of people know that don't know almost anything about grass, they know what nutsedge is, and they might call it nutgrass. It's not nutgrass, it's a sedge. And the saying you may hear people say sometimes is, sedges have edges. Now what I believe is meant by that is down here at the base of it, it's kind of a triangular stem. And so that's one of the defining characteristics of sedges. And this one has a triangular stem. I can kind of roll it with my finger there. Now I believe this one is yellow nutsedge. One is just a lighter color, which is typically characteristic of yellow nutsedge in comparison with purple nutsedge. Another thing about yellow nutsedge, now this has been mowed not too long ago, typically comes up to a finer point and grows more upright in comparison to purple nutsedge. Let me show you purple nutsedge and then show you some kyllinga, and then we'll get to the products and the exact strategy that I'm using. Let me walk and talk, because one of the things that you might see with a yard that has a lot of nutsedge is somebody that just waters their yard all the time. So oftentimes I recommend people that just water 1 or 2 times a week, depending on the weather, depending on the needs, and soak it really good early in the morning. But if you're watering your yard to the point, like I've been to some of my customers' lawns, and it's so hot and dry and I'm walking and the yard is just squishing under my feet because it's so wet, you're asking for nutsedge, as well as fungus issues and other problems that you might have with that circumstance of how much water you're putting on the lawn. So don't do that. Don't soak your yard and just make it wet all the time. That's not helping the grass. Now we looked at the yellow nutsedge. Let's look at purple nutsedge in comparison. You see how this purple nutsedge, and of course it's not purple, but you see how the leaf lays down a lot flatter. It is a duller point, and it's actually a darker color green versus the yellow, again, which was more upright and had a sharper point and a lighter color green. So this is purple nutsedge, and there's a reason we need to know that, which I can explain here in just a minute. I mean, maybe here's even a better example. Let's look at this. Purple nutsedge, flatter, duller color. Get over here, yellow nutsedge, lighter color. I think that's visibly lighter. Look how, you know, upright the thing grows, sharper point. So that should help you, yellow versus purple. Now, why is it important to understand yellow versus purple nutsedge? Well, one of the things that is important about that is just typically some products that have dismiss in it, or the chemical being sulfentrazone, they're going to work better on your yellow nutsedge and on your kyllinga, not quite as good on your purple nutsedge. That's the main thing. There's certain products that are going to work better on one variety than others. And hopefully you can tell the difference between that and between this. Now this is some type of kyllinga I feel pretty confident about, and you can see the little spiky balls on top of the thing. They grow more in clumps than nutsedge does, and honestly not too hard to differentiate between kyllinga and yellow and purple nutsedge. Now again, I'm still learning the different types of kyllinga. But for the sake of this video, let's just stick between yellow nutsedge, purple nutsedge, and kyllinga. Now, why is that important to understand what kyllinga looks like? Well, when you're dealing with sedges, Again, some of those dismissed products that are good on the yellow nutsedge may also be pretty good on your kyllinga. They may not be quite as good on the purple nutsedge. So dismissed products, we're going to show you those in just a minute. Pretty good on yellow and kyllinga, not so good on the purple, though they will give you some results on that. Other thing, at least in my area, I feel like some of the kyllinga would be characterized as an annual sedge. Sometimes you can actually put a pre-emergent down ahead of those sedges and greatly reduce the amount that you're going to have to deal with the post-emergent. All right, we're about to go over quite a few products. Again, I don't expect you to go out and buy all these products. I'm going to try to make it as simple as I can for you, but help you understand what I'm doing, what you can do, and how to put together a specific plan to deal with this weeds to get you real results without breaking the bank. For those of you that want to mention one thing real quick. For those of you want to mention one thing real quick, for those of you who want to get in weed control and fertilization like me, I've actually started a 12-month mentoring program. Great, these people have access to me. They text me, they call me to be able to get help with their weed control and fertilization business. We also do every other week a live training call. It also comes with a lot of courses, video courses and things I've created, price and charge, to help people be successful. So if you're looking to get in weed control and fertilization and need some help to make that jump, go to the first link in the description below and schedule a free 15-minute call with me. Let's talk about it, see if it's going to be a fit for you. It's for those with warm season grasses. All right, sometimes I'm a little hesitant to show the different products that I'm using when we're talking about sedge control or any kind of weed control. But in this situation, I think it's important to understand the different options because a lot of these are going to do different things. But again, I'm trying to make it simplified, and we're going to run through these fairly quickly. So I talked about using a pre-emergent to get ahead of some of the sedges. Now this is an expensive bottle here, and this is a gallon. Now it goes a long way, but I found that if you use 6 ounces of this early in the year, let's say March, April time frame, probably April is what I've been doing near Alabama, and you can greatly reduce the amount of sedges in the lawn, specifically the kyllinga and other annual sedges. This can really help with that, as well as many other weeds that you're going to find in your yard, like broadleaf weeds such as chamber bitter, spurge, other things of that nature. I've used that strategy in the past. This year I did something different, which I'll tell you here in just a minute. Now for a post-emergent strategy on sedges, which seems to be what most people are interested in, think about it like this. You're going to have some products that are going to be really good on yellow and purple nutsedge, but not so good on the kyllinga. You got other products that are going to be pretty good on the yellow nutsedge and the kyllinga, but not so good on the purple. And then you got some that are going to be good on all the sedges, or just about all of them. And then you got some that are going to be good on sedges as well as broadleaf weeds and grassy weeds, or maybe just sedges and broadleaf weeds. So I'm going to try to run through those and explain the difference between them and talk to you about a real plant. One of the products I use a lot is this one. It's called Certainty. A lot of times I'll mix it with Celsius, and it's one of the best combinations I use on warm season grasses only here. And I'll mix that up because it's great with that Celsius Certainty combo. It's good for sedges, broadleaf, and grassy weeds. So it's just a great combo to use. Now, one of the things I like about Certainty and also Solero, they both are good on yellow nutsedge, purple nutsedge, as well as your kyllinga. So if you want something that's just like, I want to deal with all the sedges in one product, you can go with something like Certainty or something like Solero. Let me say too, I don't have all the products that ever made for sedges up here. Now, I mentioned earlier about sulfentrazone being pretty good on the yellow and kyllinga. Most, if not all, products that have dismiss on them are going to have that sulfentrazone in there. So this is just regular dismiss. This is dismiss NXT. This is blindside, which also has sulfentrazone in it. So for these three, you're going to get really good control and a quick burn down on your yellow nutsedge as well as your kyllinga. So this dismiss will do that, as well as some broadleaf control. Dismiss NXT has got carfentrazone in it as well, so it's going to give you that sedge control, but also be pretty effective on a lot of broadleaf weeds. And then blindside's got metsulfuron in it, so it's got really good product. I use it on broom sedge, I use it on wild onions, wild garlic, but it also can be a good sedge product, and also good on a lot of broadleaf weeds. I like to use it on Virginia buttonweed. It's very good on chamber bitter. And then you've got these two products that are fairly new to the market. This is Southpaw and Southside. These both have the same active ingredient as our Certainty does, but they also have other ingredients as well. The Southside, it comes with metsulfuron in it. Southpaw has metsulfuron as well as dicamba. So the idea of this is it's going to give you the effectiveness of Certainty, which you remember was good for yellow, purple, and kyllinga, and even good on some grassy weeds like a cool season grass and a warm season lawn in the wintertime. But they're also, because the extra ingredients, going to be good on some broadleaf weeds as well. So you're going to get kind of a combo product. It's going to be good on your sedges, but also broadleaf. And one of the great things is that the cost per application is actually cheaper than Certainty alone. So you can get basically the same ingredients as Certainty plus other benefits, but for a cheaper price than just Certainty. Now the difference in these two, South Paul, I think at the time of this video, is maybe just under $100, where Southside, this one's gonna be $300 or $400. So you say, oh, okay, they look about the same size, this one's obviously the better deal. Well, actually the Southside use a lower rate, so this bottle covers a lot more territory. So the point is, this is actually cheaper per application, but this is a cheaper bottle, if that makes sense. So if you're just like a homeowner and you want to spray a little bit, you might go with Southside because the bottle's not so expensive. For me, having a business and using a lot of this stuff, then a lot of times I'm going to go with Southside, but I can cover a lot more ground. I'm not as worried about the price of the bottle. I'm wanting to know the price per 1,000 square feet. And then you got a couple products over here. You got Celsius Extra and Tribute Total. So Celsius Extra is going to be the active ingredient halosulfuron. I believe Tribute Total has the same thing in there. So that's the ingredient that you're going to find in products that you may have heard of called Sedge Hammer or Pro Sedge. I don't have those to show here. Those are both really good on yellow and purple nutsedge, not so good on your kyllinga. So Celsius Extra, again, will have some activity on your kyllinga because Celsius itself has some activity on kyllinga. Same with the Tribute Total. These will be okay on kyllinga. Tribute Total is going to be great on grassy weeds as well. It's great for Dallas grass, good on yellow and purple, and good on broadleaf weeds as well. Celsius Extra going to be good on broadleaf weeds, but also going to give you that control for the yellow and purple nutsedge. Convenience of having it all in one bottle there. Again, some of the ones I didn't show was the Sedge Hammer and the Pro Sedge, which again are good for yellow and purple nutsedge. What else I didn't show was there's one called Vexus, which is actually comes in a little granular shaker bottle, and I can't even think of the liquid version of it. It slipped my mind right now. But these are by another supplier, makes those, I believe it's PBI Gordon. And the idea with those is that hopefully over time you're reducing the population of nutsedge. They're going to be slow, but hopefully you're actually killing some of it and reducing the population over time and not just giving you a good suppression of the weeds. So as promised, I told you I would tell you exactly what I do on the lawn and how I got the best results I ever did this year on sedge control. In the past I've used Spectral and really got some good control on my kyllinga. But this year I decided to try something a little different. I decided to go with the high rate of dismiss, which is 12 ounces per acre. And I did it while my Bermuda and zoysia grass was still dormant. So I was doing it like in February on into early March and sprayed that 12 ounces per acre all in one shot. Now, the thought behind that is there's a product called Echelon, and you get ahead of the sedges and it gives you some very good suppression for quite some time. I think with Echelon they actually talk about it being 100 days. So I thought, well, let me just put that full rate of dismiss in there, and that really helped in my opinion. And I did it early because I didn't want to risk at that high rate causing any turf burn to Bermuda or zoysia. Then I came back on my Bermuda yards with Southside, and I actually blanketed the whole yard with Southside. And I was doing a couple things, hopefully getting a lot of those broadleaf weeds like the spurge and things. I did this about May, but also blanketing the yard with what again is the same active ingredient that I'm getting in Certainty, and doing that with Southside, which comes in at a fairly reasonable cost for a blanket application of a sedge product. So by doing those two things, and I can't say for certain which one made the bigger difference, but I know by doing both, 12 ounces of this and then coming back a couple months later, the blanket app of Southside, I had the best sedge control I believe I ever have on my lawn this year. It was a lot of information. I hope I didn't overwhelm anybody. I hope I didn't say something wrong, because sometimes when I start talking real fast like that, well, fast for me, I'm from Alabama, some people say I talk real slow. Talking as fast as my mind would let me go, then sometimes the words get jumbled up, but hopefully it made sense. I appreciate you watching. If you want to get in weed control fertilization like me, go down there and book that call with the link in the description. We'll talk about it, see if it's a fit for the 12-month mentoring program. If not, you can hang around and watch some more videos. I think I've been on YouTube for 14 years at the time of this video. Appreciate all the support. We'll see you guys in the next video.